What's up, everyone? I'm Reina,
And I'm Phil.
and welcome back to 1 Minute Board Games. Today we are coming at you with our top 10 games of all time.
So how do you feel about making, or how do you feel in general about top 10 lists?
I like them. I think I love top 10 lists, like all-time board games,
Mhm.
because you can kind of get a feel for whoever you're watching, like what their game tastes are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mhm.
I like them a lot. Like, I love watching top 10 lists, but they are so hard to make,
Uh-huh.
you know? My tastes, they change over time, so it's like, how do I pick 10 games that are like my all-time favorite?
Mhm.
And I think the way that I actually went about it was kind of like the Marie Kondo way. Is I literally went through my collection,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, this sparks joy, this sparks joy, and then I picked out 15 of them,
Uh-huh.
and then I whittled it down to 10.
Oh.
So I think that's how I went about it. I don't know if they're all time, but
Yeah.
they're close enough.
I like
right?
that too. I struggled a bit because there are some games. So basically, all the games on my list, I have played them multiple times.
Okay.
There are some games that I've only played once that I really enjoyed, but
Mhm.
I don't think that I would qualify that to put it in my all-time list. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
But besides that, yeah, my initial list was 19, and then I was just cutting them. And then
Dang,
the way that
19.
I put games on my list was what games would I just be down to play always.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay, well, without further ado, let's get started.
All right, so it is not a true top 10 list without a little bit of cheating. So we're coming at you first with our honorable mention. Yeah, you want to start us off?
Okay, so my honorable mention is Space Base. Space Base is published by AEG, and its designer is John D. Clare. So Space Base is kind of like a craps game where you roll 2 dice, and then whatever result it is, you get to do the actions for those dice. And you just keep building up better and better ships to, get better and better rewards. And I love that game so much, and it was the game that I introduced you to board games.
Yeah, that was my
with.
gateway game,
Yeah.
Space Base.
Mhm. So I don't know, over time it's fallen out of the top 10, but I still enjoy it a lot. And I think that's why it's honorable mention right now.
It's also my honorable
What?
mention.
Wow, really?
Yeah, for basically all the same reasons. It holds a very special place in my heart.
Mhm.
I think we sort of use that to introduce to a lot of people.
Yeah,
and
it's
so,
such a cool game.
we played it a lot of times. It's one of your most played games.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yes, but we don't play it as much anymore, but I still very much like the game.
Mhm.
So that is why it didn't make the top 10 list, but it'll always be there in my heart.
Yeah. Maybe once expansions come out, I'll bring it back up.
Probably.
Bump it up a
Yeah.
little. Okay, let's start off with our number 10. And Reina, yours is?
All right, so my number 10 game of all time is War Chest. Is that yours too?
Yes. Dude, our top 10 is looking exactly the same right now.
Well, we can talk about it together then. So
Yes.
War Chest is designed by Trevor Benjamin and David Thompson.
Yep. And it's published by AEG as well.
Another AEG game.
Yep.
Nice.
So War Chest, it's kind of like chess, but you have these poker chips, and it's almost part bag building.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got bag building elements, it's got chess-like elements, and there's just so many different chips, like units, that you can use to go and capture these different points and capture different opponents' chips.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a fantastic game.
Yeah, so the goal of the game is to control a certain number of little areas. I think it's maybe 4 for each player that you want to
think it's
control.
5.
4 or 5, yeah.
5.
And yeah, each of the units acts differently, and it's super fun to see the different synergies between all of them, because I think the base game comes with 20 units.
I think it's 20 or 16, one of those numbers.
And you can just totally mix and match them, and we like to do this draft variant where we take all the cards, and I'll pick one, he'll choose 2, I'll get the other, and etc. And it's just a really fun and quick play, but a lot of thinking strategy.
Yes. And I feel like there's different ways of playing it, because Reina, she's really aggressive with her strategy. She goes in, she goes hard, and I'm more of a defensive player.
Uh-huh.
And, most of the time she actually wins. She's really good at the game.
It feels like that, but I think if you looked at the stats, it wouldn't be that. But thank you for saying.
No, I'm pretty sure you beat me in stats. But yes, this is like one of those games. I think we talked about it in another video, where it's a really nice game to just have on like a side coffee table, just off in the corner, kind of like a chess set, and you just have it out and you display it. And I hope one day we have that little corner table where we just have war chests set up, ready to go at any moment's notice. So yeah.
Top 10.
Number 10. War chest.
All right, so our honorable mention and our number 10 was the same. Now that we're getting into number 9.
This is definitely probably going to be different.
Okay.
So my game is going to be Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef.
Oh.
This game was made by Tim and Ben Eisner, and it's published by Druid City Games and Skybound Games. So this game is kind of like rolling dice, set matching, but also you kind of build your character up. And I love my dice games, and so when we played this game, it was just this amazing combination of worker placement. You got to create your character and build them up the way you want it to, and then you also got to get upgrade dice, which is even better. And then the gameplay is rather simple. You just go onto a space, you get the actions on the space, and then if you have a card that matches the arena, then you get to try to roll dice to try to complete the challenge. And anytime you do complete a challenge, you get to raise part of your dials to increase the potential of a character. And I love it. It's an amazing game. The only problem is that box is huge. I can't fit it anywhere, and it just has to lie on the top of our shelves, and it's just it's literally this big. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I don't even know if it would fit in a double calyx part. If we took one out, I don't think it would fit in that.
I'm glad that the biggest box that we own is a game that we really like and is really beautiful and we want to display. So
yeah, also the art for that game is so gorgeous.
That game was love at first sight for you.
It really
or love
was.
At first play.
I think it really was. The art, the style, and it's very blue. It's a very blue game. It's nice.
Do you think it would be higher up on your list if you played it more?
I think so. I put it at number 9, and I've only played it once, but I keep wanting to play it. And so I think it will quickly become more and more, but I'd have to give it more plays.
Yeah. I think so too.
So that was my number 9. It was Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef. So what was your number 9 game?
So my number 9, while we're on the topic of how much we love to roll dice, is Dice Throne.
Ooh, okay.
Specifically Season 2, because that's the one that we own. And it is designed by Nate Chatelier and Manny Tremblay and published by Roxley. So we talked about Dice Throne a few times on our channel if you're a returning guest here, and we like to call it Battle Yahtzee.
Yep.
So you can play up to 6 characters, right? Or up to 6 players.
Ooh, I don't even know.
I think so. It can go pretty high, but we like to do it just
players.
1v1. So we just pick 2 different characters, and it's cool because each of the characters has a completely different way to play them. So one character could be super aggressive, one character could be defensive, there's characters that have pets with them, and you're basically just going to be rolling dice, and like the Yahtzee, you choose which one you want to keep, and then you re-roll 2 more times and see what you land with, and based on the faces that you roll, then you can go ahead and activate super cool things on your board. Yeah, and you also have cards in your hand that you can use to, change numbers that you roll, so it makes it a bit easier for you to do things, and you can also upgrade your different skills as well. And I just love this game.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game, and Roxley did a phenomenal job in upgrading to Season 2. Season 1 was pretty good already, but Season 2 blows Season 1 out of the water. So luckily they actually re-rolled Season 1 and recreated all of the characters into the style of Season 2. And we haven't picked up Season 1 yet, re-rolled.
I want it. And I also want Dice Throne Adventures.
Yeah, so Dice Throne Adventures is like a PvE version where you are playing like a map tile and you're going around.
It's like campaign style too, right?
Mm-hmm. You can collect different cards to add into your deck, and it has different rarities. So there's like common, rare, legendary.
It's cool. I've only played it once, but I definitely want to own it. I told him when we played it, I was like, oh, okay, I want to buy this, and I was like, it's out of stock.
We haven't been able to find it, but it's.
But once we do, it'll be up. Yeah. All right, number 9.
Number 9. All right, number 8. 8? 8. What is your number 8 game?
My number 8 game is Res Arcana.
That's a good game.
This game is designed by Thomas Lehman and published by Sandcastle Games. And in this game, you're basically playing as rival mages, and you're trying to collect essences and craft unique items and control places of power. And it's a race to 10 points. So whenever a player gets 10 points, and that signals the end of the game. But it's, of course, possible for you to go over. And this game is just so freaking cool because, you know, there's like a huge deck of cards, but you're only going to be playing with a hand of, I think,
8.
8 of them each game. And so at the beginning of each game, you basically start off with 8 cards, and then you have 2 different mages, and you basically take a look at your cards and say, okay, these are the type of cards that I have and how they play. Which mage would be the most beneficial to me with this hand of cards that I have? And it's just like, yeah, it's cool.
It's part engine building, but also it's an efficiency puzzle, you know? Because you just have to figure out, how do I get the quickest amount, how do I get to 10 points the quickest using just the 8 cards that I have?
Yeah, it's very tight, which is awesome.
It is. And sometimes the engine that you can build just using those 8 cards is phenomenal. Like, there was one game, I'm pretty sure I was able to get to 13 points where everyone else was like
so quickly.
5 points.
And I was just like,
and it's crazy, but it's so cool.
Yeah.
Because the gameplay is actually pretty simple, and I think the iconography is really good, especially with the reference card that you get. You kind of pick it up very quickly. We actually got to play this, which one was it? Strategicon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We played 2 games back to back. We actually were setting it up, but then some guy just walked by. He's like, you playing Res Arcana? Can I play too? Which is so cool about conventions. And we're like, yeah, let's play.
And then he actually knew how to play the game, so he showed us how to play. And then we were like, this is so cool. And so we decided to go to the library and rent it out. And then, like, play again.
It's also great because it's a super quick play, and I think there's been a few times where we played this game on my lunch break.
Really?
We squeezed it in like half an hour,
Nice.
Which is awesome. But yeah, that was my number 8, Res Arcana.
Great game. Yeah.
What was your number 8? Or what is your number 8?
So, my number 8, I think it's going to surprise you, but it is Pan Am.
I'm not super surprised, actually.
So Pan Am is created by Prospero Hall, and it's published by Funko Games. So this game, I always rave about it. Anytime I see someone like mention it, talk about it, have it, I think it's a great game. And I love the whole atmosphere of like Pan Am. I don't know, I wouldn't call it atmosphere, but it's got a really cool theme. You know?
It has a cool like look to it too.
Yeah, so it's a game, it's a worker placement game as well, but the cool thing is it's like bidding worker placement almost. So there's these different spots and there's different tiers of them, and the higher up you go, the more expensive it is. So you can go on a spot, but someone else can go there and outbid you, and so you'll get that token back and you can place it somewhere else. But the whole idea is that you are each your own separate like little mini airline, and you are actually trying to get bought out by Pan Am. So they will be, you know, expanding through the map, and anytime it goes onto a route that you already have established, they actually pay you out. And then the goal of the game is to have the most Pan Am stock. So you have to buy these stock using your income that you get. But the thing is, the stock price rises depending on the different event cards that come out. I just think this game it was such a surprise to me, you know? Like, I don't think I would have ever went out and bought the game every time I saw it at Target, but my roommate Chris, he bought it and we decided to play it.
Is that how it happened? He bought it?
It is, yeah. That's how...
Hey, thanks, Chris.
Yeah. It was such a phenomenal game.
Yeah, I think it's cool too because the first time we played it, I don't think we realized that getting bought out by Pan Am was a good thing.
Yeah.
We kept trying to build our routes like far away from where Pan Am was expanding.
Mm-hmm.
But then the game that we played after, I think we started playing a bit differently. And we're like, oh, you should get bought out by Pan Am because it'll give you more money to buy more stocks.
Exactly. You get a pretty big burst of income. And then you have to decide how you're going to spend that money, right? So you either get that money and spend it building up your economy and like building trade routes and stuff like that. You also need this money to actually go onto the spot. So you need to figure out how much to save, but also how much money you need to spend to buy the stock. Because, you know, like if the stock is at the lowest price, maybe it's time to just
maybe it's time to
buy it up, right? I love it.
It's definitely a very great game, and I feel like it's one of the most underrated games out there. I think everyone should give this a try.
You guys really need to check it out because it's usually on sale at Target.
Yeah,
like,
it's always on sale.
I'm pretty sure I got it for like $15. It is such a good game for $15. So, yeah, Pan Am.
Number 8. All right, hope y'all enjoyed that Pan Am parade, but now we are on to our number 7 game of all time.
Yes.
And you're going to go ahead and start us off.
All right, so my number 7 game is quickly becoming one of my favorites. It is Nidavellir. Nidavellir. So this game is created by Serge Leger, and it's published by Grrree Games. It's Grrre Games.
7.
It's number 7? Wow. Yeah, it's... Okay, so this game is... I was not sure what the game was about when I first saw the cover and stuff.
Like theme... Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's Nidavellir, and the only reference I had of Nidavellir was in Endgame, where Thor goes to create his weapon. Well, in this game, you are essentially trying to build your army of dwarves to defeat... I forget what the monster is, but it's like a dragon.
Oh, nice. It's always a dragon.
Yeah. But the main mechanics of the game is like a coin building bidding system. Set collection, yes. So there are 3 different taverns, and you have to place your different coin chips onto each of these. And depending on who has the highest value, you get to pick first. And the really cool thing about it is there's 1 coin which can upgrade your coins. And so like you can get, instead of like a 5 coin, you can get like a 10 coin. And now you might be the only one with the 10, and so when you play the 10, you're guaranteed to go first and stuff like that. And different dwarves score you differently, but they're all fairly simple to grasp.
Yeah, and they're pretty like equal too. I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 dwarf families that are like a bit like lower. Like I wouldn't invest all my time in them, but they're pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, it's quick play. It's fairly easy to teach. There is a little bit going on, so it might take longer to teach, but it's still a really easy game, and I think I love that about it. It's a great game to introduce people to, because the mechanics are pretty simple. All you do is put out some chips, and then depending on who gets to go first, they get to pick first.
Yeah, I love it. It definitely is easy and quick to play. Actually, when I have trouble paying attention in class, I open up Nidavellir on Board Game Arena.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I play.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I can't pay attention. So yeah.
Casey, what have you done? So it was Brain in a Jar and Johnny Deathhawk that introduced us to it.
And Phil thanks him every day for it.
It's such a great game.
I do love that game.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, number 7. Nidavellir. So what was your number 7 game?
So my number 7 game is a game that actually used to be higher on my list, and it has since fallen a bit.
Okay.
But I still enjoyed it a lot, and that game is 5 Tribes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 5 Tribes is designed by Bruno Cathala and is published by Days of Wonder. Did you figure that it was that game?
No, but I was wanting to add it to my list. It's a really good game.
Alright, so the gist of the game is you're trying to maneuver the 5 tribes and gain influence over the city-state of Nakala. And this game is super interesting because it plays like Mancala. So in the base game, there are 5 different tribes. There are 5 different colors: red, blue, yellow, green, and white, I believe. And what you're going to do is they're just like littered everywhere on the map, and you're going to pick up a group of them from one tile, and in Mancala-like fashion, you're going to drop them off one at a time until you drop off your very last meeple. And the color of the last meeple determines what kind of action you're going to take, and then where it lands is also the type of action that you will take. So, it's been a while since we played it.
Yeah, so each of the tiles has its own ability that you will fulfill out, and the color of the meeple will also let you to do another action.
For example, like the red assassins allow you to like kill off a meeple that's like X amount of spaces away, which is pretty cool. And then once you empty a space, because once you drop off that last meeple, you're going to pick up all the meeples of that color and kind of just like yeet them or keep them depending on what color they are. And once you empty a space, then you get to place one of your camels there, and they're worth a certain number of points at the end, which is super cool.
Yeah, this game, how do I describe it? It's a phenomenal game. The thing is, it is a chore to set up. It's a lot. We also have all the expansions.
Yes.
So...
Which is cool, because once we get sick of but once you want to spice up the base game, we just add in the expansions, and they each do a very great job at adding more to the game.
It also ramps up the points by quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a true point salad game.
Yeah, but with all the expansions, I think there's a total of like 24 tiles, maybe more. It's a lot. And then each of the tiles requires you to put 3 meeples on. So it is kind of annoying.
You gotta tag team when you're setting it up.
Yeah, so I think that might be one of the reasons why we don't
played it. You can also get a bit of an analysis paralysis with this game,
I really get analysis paralysis.
Like, I asked him one time after we played it the last time, I was like, do you enjoy playing this game?
Some of the games I have really huge AP on, but I love them. I just look so frustrated, and it looks like I don't enjoy the game, but I am having a great time.
Because there are so many different ways to score, so of course you kind of look at the map and be like, okay, what is the one move that can score me the most points? And sometimes you miss it, and then your opponent takes the turn, and you're like, I missed that move.
Yeah. And I think the coolest part about Five Tribes is that in a 2-player game, you get to go, you have a total of 2 each, so 2 per player. And you can kind of combo it. So if you go back to back, you can make it so that you can have a more favorable second turn.
You have to bid for your turn order. So you have to, if you go twice in a row, it can be potentially just like a huge turn.
So.
Yeah, that was my number 8. My number 7. It has fallen since then, but still a
great
goodie.
game. All right, now on to number 6. What was your number 6 game?
My number 6 game is, I'm pretty sure this game made your list too. It's Great Western Trail.
Ooh, great game.
Actually, yeah, Great Western Trail. I wasn't sure, I'm not sure how his list is going right now, that's why I kind of hesitated there a bit. But this game is designed by Alexander Pfister and is published by Eggertspiel. And in this game, you're playing as a rancher, and you're basically herding your cattle to and from, I believe, Texas to Kansas City. And then you are trying to sell them and make some money, and yeah, I might need your help in explaining this game a little bit, because there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. So you're traveling to different spaces on the board, and depending on where you land, it's the action that you get to take. But essentially, you're trying to make the best 4 or 5 card hand, depending on your hand size limit, because once you get to the end of, I guess, Kansas City, you are going to sell your cattle, but you can only sell each unique colored cattle that you have. So if you have 2 black cattle, then you can only sell one of them, and it's how do I even say it?
I don't even know how to explain it.
Weird, like, you're going through different towns, building up your hand, and then at the end you make money, and then you do it all over again.
Yeah, you have like 3 different types of workers that you can utilize in the game. You have the builders who can build your cities on the map, which is super cool because sometimes you can gain bonuses if you use your own, or you can only use your own, Technically,
yes.
yeah.
You can only use your own. So the builders allow you to build your own, like, tiles that are personal for you. So when you land on it, you can use the action, and if someone else lands on it, they can't use the action.
Yeah, and if you build your buildings correctly, you can make up for some pretty cool combos. You also have the engineers, which help you in moving
your train. So there is another mechanic, which involves this train, and the farther your train is, the less taxes you actually have to pay when you're actually going to sell your cattle. And not only that, the farther you go, you also get these different bonuses, which is also nice. So that is the engineer.
And then lastly, we have the cowboys, who just function to help you buy more cattle. And I just love playing this game because it's great. I cannot explain why I like games, but it's just cool. There's a lot going on. It's fun to like be able to invest in like different workers each game to see which one like kind of plays the best. And the expansion's pretty great too. It adds like this whole like another map on top, so it gives you more variability when you're playing. Yeah.
I am also going to agree with that statement. I don't know what it is about Great Western Trail, but it is one of my favorite games. Like it's just like
it's
the
like
feeling
fun.
that you get when you're going through all these different motions. There's so much going on too.
It's like a lot of hand management too, because you're really trying to make sure you have like 5 different cards as soon as you get to Kansas City. But sometimes you're gonna have to sell cattle along the way to get money, and you're like, okay, I have to sell this white cattle. I have one in my deck. Am I gonna be able to draw it before I get back to Kansas City?
Yeah.
And it's super fun to make that engine work, make that puzzle work.
Super cool.
So that was
number 6.
my number 6.
Cool.
All right, so what was your number 6 game?
So my number 6 game is actually Decrypto.
Whoa.
Yeah. So excuse my pronunciation of the designer's name, but I believe it is Thomas Dagenet L'Espérance.
Wow, that's good.
And it is published by Le Scorpion Mask. That I might have butchered that more than his name, but anyways. So Decrypto is this like word game, and you play in 2 different teams, and you essentially have 4 decrypted words that only your team knows. But on a turn, you are going to uncover this card which has numbers on it. So it's either 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be like 4, 2, 1. And so as the leader of your team, you have to write down words that makes it so that you have your team to guess the correct word. And you want to make it obscure enough to where your opponents can't figure out which word is associated to which category.
Yeah, because your opponents are going to hear the clues too, and their goal is to sort of intercept these clues.
Exactly, yeah. So this is one of those games where it is so difficult to explain to people, but once you start playing it, it just clicks so fast. It's such a great game, and it just feels so good. Like when you can intercept a message, it's just cheers all around.
It's like
people
a true
high-fiving.
high.
It is so good. This is obviously one of my favorites because my top 10. But it's so hard to get out because you need, usually you need an even number of players. And not only that, again, this game is so hard to teach.
Yeah.
But the gameplay, like once you play just one round, you start to get it.
You need people who are going to bear through the explanation and give the game a try, which is a bit difficult sometimes.
Yeah. And I was going to say something, but I forgot.
I agree. I really do love this game, and we've been getting it out more recently, which I really love, and I love to get it out even more than that.
Yeah, I think this was what I was going to say. It's so clever when you come up with a clue that's so obscure that might be associated with a different word, but your team knows that it's that word. And it's a good feeling when you throw the opponents off of it. It's just such a clever design. So shout out to you, Tomas. Great job. Great
Number
game.
6.
Number 6.
All right, y'all. We've officially hit the halfway point. So now we are at number 5. And let's go ahead and start with you. What is your number 5 game of all time as of right now?
Great Western Trail. So we talked about it earlier. It's designed by Alexander Pfister, published by
Eggert Spiel.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a good job of explaining it previously, but I will just reiterate that it is a phenomenal game. Not sure what it is about it, but if you can get through the whole learning process, because it is kind of a lot, and you're probably going to make a couple mistakes your first time, but it's such a rewarding experience playing through that game. Feels nice.
Super excited for the new edition that's
I
coming
know,
out.
It's so pretty, and there's like a cowboy meeple with a
and
cowboy
it has the
hat.
recessed player bar.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we love that game, but I don't know what's going on with the original box cover art.
Yeah. I'll have it right here somewhere. Yeah, that was my number 5. And what was your number 5?
All right, so my number 5 game is Orleans.
Ooh,
yes.
Good game.
So this game is designed by Rainier Stockhausen, and now it is published by Capstone Games, who acquired the rights to publish it.
Yeah.
Super
Right.
cool. Love Capstone. So in this game, you are trying to assemble like a following of farmers and monks and all these different workers. To help you gain supremacy in medieval France.
Wow.
That is the theme of the game. I had to look that up because I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even know what the theme was.
Uh-huh.
I just know that you collect these little chips and you put it into your bag.
Fun.
And you just like... It's essentially a bag building game.
Yeah, it's like a bag building Euro game. And you're going to be purchasing different workers and, building your bag how you would like. And then because every turn you're going to draw in a certain amount of chips and then place them to use your workers. And I love this game. I'd be down to play this game at any time.
Yeah, it feels really good when you create a good engine. You'll notice that we probably have a lot of engine building games.
Engine building games is my favorite. Yeah. And so not only are you doing this stuff on your own board, but you have this common player board, and everyone starts off in Orleans, your little traders, and eventually you're going to branch out and try to pick up different goods, because these goods are worth points at the end of the game. And so the base game is spectacular. It's always fun to, build your bag differently each game, see which workers are the most profitable. And they also have expansions as well, which are super cool. We've only played with one of them so far.
I think so. One of the expansions that we have just adds a community board. It replaces the one that we had, which gives more options, which is really nice. Yeah.
You also add contracts too that you can fulfill.
Oh yes.
Super cool, because then you could use your goods and you have to get to this city and drop those goods off. So it adds a different mechanic to the game. I love contract fulfilling, so. Yeah.
This is one of those games where it's another point salad-ish kind. There's so many different ways of scoring.
You're very good at this game. I think you have a 100% win rate, huh?
I think I do too. I am really good at engine building games.
He really is. His brain just works a certain way, and I love a game when I lose it all the time and I still want to play it all the time.
I just have a lot of gears turning in this little brain of mine. Just keeps going.
So yeah, that was my number 5 game, Orleans.
Nice. All right, so let's go to number 4. What is your number 4 game?
My number 4 game is Brass Birmingham. This game is designed by Gavin Brown, Matt Tolman, and Martin Wallace, and it is published by Roxy. Roxy. This is an economic strategy game, and you're basically playing as a different entrepreneur in the Industrial Revolution in Birmingham. And you're trying to build your networks and do X, Y, and Z and exploit the highs and lows of the market to get the most points. And I think that I really like economic strategy games, and I think that's probably the genre that I am the best at. I don't know why. Maybe because I've been this is gonna sound but maybe because I've been running small businesses since I've been younger. So I kind of I don't know. That's just me trying to have some self-perspective. But this game is difficult to learn at first. I think
absolutely is.
Trying to grasp the concepts of what is in your network, when can you use iron, when can you use coal, and it actually frustrated me so much that I played half a game and we had to put it away. I was I can't play this game right now. I'm getting too frustrated. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's a chore to teach because there are really important concepts that are not the most intuitive. And it's hard to convey why. I can explain the whole theory and the history behind it, but even then it's hard to grasp on the board. What is a part of your network? What is something that you can use someone else's network on? Why can I use, this coal but not this one, or iron? And it is just a whole intricate design, but I think it's a beautiful design. I think it's great.
It works really well. So there's 2 different eras, the Canal era and what's the second era called?
Railroad era.
Railroad era. And basically everything that you build in the Canal era, if it's the level 1 tier, is going to get wiped. And all of your links are going to be wiped too. So it's like you want to prepare for the second era, but it costs a lot more money to obviously invest in that. And then when it comes to the second era, then developing links is so much more expensive, and it's just really trying to min-max things essentially. And you gotta take loans out in that game. They might set you back a few, but it gives you like a lot of money to do with. And yeah,
this is Brass Birmingham is like one of the games that I feel definitely gets better the more you play it. There's so many different strategies that you can employ and things that don't necessarily jump out at you when you first play it. And yeah, I think it's a very beautiful game.
Yeah.
Well.
That was number 4 up on my list.
Very nice, very nice.
Now I'm curious, what is your number 4 game?
Here we go. My number 4 game is Treasure Island.
Oh, shit.
It is designed by Mark Pakian, and it is published by Matago Games. So this game, Treasure Island, it's as the title is. It's you are either one of the treasure hunters, or you are Long John Silver trying to hide the treasure. So this game is, how do I even explain it? It is kind of
like it's kind of like one versus many, but not necessarily, and it's like a deduction game.
I think it definitely is one versus many, but it is like a deduction game where one person knows exactly where the treasure is, and he has to throw like the scent off where the treasure is. And it's such a unique game. I've never played something like this, and it just excites me every time I get to play it. So
the player that's playing as Long John Silver, they're going to hide the treasure at the very beginning, and then they're going to be locked up in a jail for like X amount of turns. And then so everyone's trying to scramble and find it, and then once Long John Silver breaks out, then he is going to go straight for his treasure. And so you got to get it before he does. So only one person ever wins the game. It's whoever gets the treasure first. And so every turn, Long John Silver has to give some kind of clue, most of the time truthfully, about where the treasure is or is not. And so this map you start to draw different parts of the map on where the treasure can be. And the design of it is so great, you know? Super cool.
And I love the art. Vincent Dutrait is probably one of my favorite artists.
Nice.
Like I love the feel of his like games.
What else has he done art for?
He did Lewis and Clark, and I believe he's doing another edition of what is that game? Quest for El Dorado, and I can't wait to get like the new copy of it because I think his art is just wonderful.
Love that.
It gives me a sense of like adventure.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go on an adventure. But yeah, that was my number 4, Treasure Island. The only bad thing I can say about it is that the protractor that I have that helps you draw circles, it's kind of finicky and it does not work. So we have to kind of improvise somehow to make a better circle. But other than that, love the game. Can't wait to play it more. So that was my number 4.
All right, getting close to the top. We are in top 3 territory right now. And I'm going to go ahead and ask you to start us off. Okay,
so my number 3 game is Elder Sign.
Oh.
It is designed by Richard Lanius and Kevin Wilson, and it's published by Fantasy Flight Games. So this is basically Cthulhu Yahtzee. We call it Cthulhu Yahtzee, even though mechanically it's not that much like Yahtzee. Anyways, you are basically going around the different maps and rolling dice, trying to match the symbols with these dice. And I really love the atmosphere of this game. I like to read the cards. I like to imagine what it's like.
He reads all the flavor text and all the cards.
It's pretty great. It's a very simple game because you're just rolling dice. Again, I love my dice rolling games. But I think it holds a really special place in my heart because it's one of my first gateway games that got me into the hobby. And yeah, I don't know what more to say about it other than...
It's super fun. It's a cooperative game, but we all still have a blast even though we're losing, which is fun.
Which, yeah, sometimes you can get frustrated with your dice rolls or you just get frustrated like losing if you're getting beat down, but I always have such an enjoyable time playing that game. And I think when something like that happens, like if you're getting beat down and you're still loving your experience, that tells you how good of a game that you have.
Yeah, and they have so many different expansions too,
There is.
which we are starting to dip our toes into, and it's been so much fun.
I've collected 3 so far. I think there's 3 more out there, but I can't wait to get more of them.
We got it.
Try out more. So yeah, that was my number 3, Elder Sign. So what was your number 3?
My number 3 game, which theme is a lot different from Cthulhu.
Whoa.
On the other side of the spectrum, we got Calico with the cute
Oh.
cats.
Hey, you never know. There's like Cthulhu cats, right?
But not in this game. So this game is designed by Kevin Rust, and it is published by Flat Out Games. And this is like an abstract, like tile placement. It's not abstract, no. It's like a tile placement game.
Tile placement.
And like the theme of the game is you are trying to build the most attractive quilt so you can sew buttons onto it and attract cats to it.
I know, it's such a cute game.
Yeah, it's super cool because there's a bunch of different goal tile or like little tiles on your board that score differently, so it's different every game. And there is also like a really nice solo mode where you have different objectives that you're trying to reach. Like you have to get 65 points and have these cats on your board and have these buttons on them or to pass that campaign, which is super fun for when I just want to like vibe out and like drink some coffee and just play a solo game of Calico. When we first got this game, we were actually in Las Vegas when we were staying in a hotel, and I had just woken up the day after playing it for the first time, and I just got my Calico and I went to the little desk and I set it up, and I played like 3 back-to-back games.
And I woke up and I was like, "Are you playing Calico?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm on my 3rd game." I'm like, what?
Just fueled.
So I will say that Calico, surprisingly, is quite the brain burner.
It is.
You know,
That's
it's
a lot of people
puzzle trying to figure out where each tile should go because you want to make the best quilt, but it's quite difficult to get your perfect quilt.
And sometimes you want to like hold out for that one perfect
tile. Exactly.
And you're gonna go through the whole game and probably never see it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop a girl from holding out for it.
Cute game.
Cute game.
So many cute cats in there.
I love it. I love it so much that it doesn't give me a brain burn, but
me, definitely.
It does,
burn.
definitely.
I'm just like.
I love introducing this game to people because it's very cute and it's very appealing to look at. And then they start playing it and they're just like, where do I put this tile?
Yeah. Cool game.
Yeah. Number 3.
Thanks. All right, here we go. Number 2. What was your number 2 game?
My number 2 game is The Search for Planet X.
Yeah, I definitely knew that this game
You're
was
like-
going to be in the top 3.
You're like, when is it going to pop up? When is it coming up? So this game is designed by Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rossett, and is published by Foxtrot Games and Renegade Game Studios.
Nice.
Yes, so if you are a returning guest here, we have talked about this game a few times because I love it so much.
She does.
Yeah, this is a deduction game, so it's kind of like Clue, where you're given all of like these logic-based things, like, you know, there are 3 comets in like this area, and there's like 2 asteroids that are across from each other, and you have to put all those clues together to try and find out where Planet X is.
Yeah.
And finding Planet X does end the game, but you can get points throughout the game by finding where other celestial bodies are. And additionally, if you do want to decide to finally identify Planet X, you also have to know what's on the left and the right side of it, so you can't just do a shot in the dark kind of thing. And this is like a fantastic like brain exercise for me. This is also a game where I think you can feel pretty clever once you find out where things are, which I just love riding that high of feeling clever, if I'm being completely honest. On the contrary, you know, it is difficult if you mess up your logic along the way.
Yep.
Which I've seen happen in probably every game that we played. If you mess up your logic like early in the game, your entire map is going to be incorrect.
Yep.
So you have to try to be sure that you're doing your stuff correctly, or in Phil's case, that you're not confusing a comet for an asteroid or something.
Every time I get those 2 confused. I don't know what it is about it, but every time.
Yeah, they have 2 different maps. They have like a normal map, which has like 12 sectors, and they have an expert map, which has 18 sectors, which we have yet to play.
Still haven't played that.
But I really want to try, because we've been introducing it to a lot of people, and when you introduce this game to people, you don't want to throw them into the expert zone. And it also has a cool solo player mode where you're playing against like an AI, and I think it works pretty well. I lost pretty badly, but the logic's pretty good.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about this game is that it's app-based, and so the app is really dictating what clues are being given out.
But yeah, I think this game really helped me discover my love for deduction games. So that's why it's all the way up at number 2.
Nice, number 2.
All right, so what is your number 2 game?
My number 2 game is War of the Ring.
I knew this was going to pop up somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. So War of the Ring is designed by Robert DiMeglio, Marco Maggi, and Francesco Nepitello.
No, nice.
Yeah, and it's published by Ares Games. So this game is literally War of the Ring in a board game.
Lord of the Rings in a board game.
What did I say?
You said War of the Ring. War of the Ring is literally War of the Ring
in a board game. It's Lord of the Rings in a board game. You're essentially playing out the trilogy of the movies or the book, and it's an asymmetric game. So one player is playing as the Free Peoples, and the other player is playing as Shadow. And the Shadow's goal is basically to corrupt the ring or destroy Middle Earth to the point where you can't even recover. And the goal of the Free Peoples is to either take control of some of the Shadow's stuff to hinder them, or to toss the ring into Mount Doom. This game, oh man.
It's a production. It is so fun. It takes probably anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to play, depending on what your first game probably takes longer, but it never feels that long to me.
Yeah, the game is very, very rules intense.
Yes.
The book was kind of a slog to go through. It's pretty hard to figure out, if you need a rules check, it's hard to figure out where in the rule book it is. So that's definitely a chore. But once you get the game going and you kind of start to understand the rules a bit, it's such a great game. Elegant design, because you're just rolling dice, and whatever you roll, that's
what you're gonna do.
What you get to do. So sometimes you roll and it doesn't give you exactly what you want, but you have to improvise. You have to do what you can to try to hinder the other player and try to capture the things.
It's always such a tight game too. It's always it seems like when you're playing as a Free People that the odds are stacked against you, because they are, and in the movies they are too.
Yeah.
But you still claw your way to the end. There have been a few games where I have died on frickin' Mount Doom, one space away.
And then Frodo puts on the ring and it's over. And it's over. She's corrupted. And she's lost. Oh.
I think another thing about this game too is the troops are a bit hard to differentiate.
It is.
Which is why he painted them.
I painted some of them, okay? I didn't paint all of them.
Yeah, but the bases of them, the different colors of the factions, so it's easier to tell which one is which.
Yeah, I painted the bases, and I painted some of the weapons that they had. And it makes for an even better experience. I also painted our little minis for the different characters, like Gandalf and Frodo and stuff like that.
We have an entire 3 cubes of our Calyx shelf dedicated to War of the Ring, basically. We took out these 2 partitions, and it's just War of the Ring. So that has to be top 3 for sure for you.
We might have a favorite child. It's it's there. So yeah, War of the Ring. That's my number 2.
All right, so the moment that you have all been waiting for, hopefully you stuck with us on this journey and didn't skip here, but if you did anyway, thank you for watching.
We finally made it.
Yay! So our number 1 board game or game of all time is...
Mine is going to be Android Netrunner. Android Netrunner. It's such a good game. So this game is designed by the legendary Richard Garfield, as well as Lucas Litzinger. Litzinger. Very unique name. And it's published by Fantasy Flight Games. So this game was a living card game. Basically what that means is that there's no booster packs. You are essentially buying these data packs that have full copies of each card, and you build your own deck and play against other players. And it's this asymmetric cyberpunk game where you either play as a corrupted corporation trying to advance their agendas, or you're one of the hackers trying to hack into the corporation servers, trying to steal their agendas, trying to mess with them and stuff like that. Wow, this game
holds up after all this time.
So many good memories of this game. I used to compete competitively. And there's just so many good moments. It's such a tight game, but it's also very open-ended. Because on your turn, you get to do either 3 or 4 actions, and you get to do anything that you want to. It's all up to you how you go about trying to deal with what you have. And it's part bluffing if you're like a corporation, but also part like reading the opponent and figuring out different things about
rough because as the corporation you're trying to protect is your agendas, and your agendas can be either in your servers, they can be in your hand, they can be in your deck, and as the runner you can try to attack any one of those different locations, and if it has an agenda then most of the time you can go ahead and claim that for yourself. And so it's like you're trying to like convince the runner that okay, my agenda is here, but it's not really there, it's like in my hand, and you have to choose which ones you have to protect, which is crazy. And it's a bit difficult to grasp at first because you're just like, I don't even know what to do. I remember when you first taught me this game, I was like, I don't even know like what to do on my turn. I don't know what is like the best way to do anything. And the terminology is a bit difficult to grasp as well. Like I still really don't know the differences with like the icebreakers and the different types of gates and stuff. But it's a really cool game.
It's definitely really hard to teach. I remember being taught it the first time and I was so confused. I had no idea what was going on. But I think, like, even after that first playthrough, I don't think I enjoyed my first experience. But something about it got me to come back to it. And, wow, I am so glad that I did, you know. I love the world that it has built. And I even built a website. If you want to check it out, shameless plug, it's netrunnerlegacy.com. And it's basically these legacy decks that I built for the game. And each deck has its guide to show you how to play it. And I built it because, so technically the game is dead. So Fantasy Flight lost the license to it, so they can't publish any more Android Netrunner for it. But the people at Nisei actually have kept the project going and they're publishing their own cards, which is really cool. But the cards made by Fantasy Flight are no more. So it's really hard to get like your own playset of it. But if you happen to stumble by it, pick up a copy because it's such a unique game. And the feelings you get as either a runner or a corporation doing agendas and stuff like that, it's so satisfying of a gameplay. Like when a runner goes and runs and it's his last turn and he has to flip up a card and it's the agenda, it's the game-winning agenda. It just feels so nice. So that is my number 1, Android Netrunner. So what was your number 1 game? Excited.
My number 1 game, honestly, it hasn't been changed. It's been unchanged.
Oh, okay.
I don't do that many top 10 lists. I think I did one on TikTok like several months ago. But it is Scythe. Yeah, Scythe, which is designed by Jamie Stegmaier and published by Stonemaier Games.
We have not played this game in a hot minute.
No, but it's still my number 1 game. I play it all the time on like my iPad.
Oh, do you still?
I do, yeah.
Wow.
So this is like 5 factions are vying for dominance in like a war-torn, mech-filled, steampunk 1920s Europe. That's like the theme of the game. And, as we stated earlier in the video, we are big fans of like engine building games or like games where you're just trying to like be the most efficient. And to me, I feel like this is like one of the engine building games because you start off with your own little player board and you can barely do anything. But as you acquire more resources, you need to decide which of your actions that you want to upgrade, then you're able to do more things. But then the way that I play this game is like, okay, so if I want to do this, what's the least number of turns that I can take so that I can do that action? And so it's okay, I have to move here. And unless you're a specific faction, you cannot take the same action twice on your board. It's like, okay, I have to come here, and then I have to produce, and then I have to come back here, and then I end up having to do that. I can do a mech and this and that. And great game. I also love how like So it's like a race to 6 objective stars, right?
Yep.
That's when the game ends. And there's like a bunch of different objectives. So if you are like me and you don't like combat, you don't like fighting people, that's fine. Stay in your little corner and just complete the other objectives that don't include combat.
Yeah, surprisingly, that game doesn't involve that much combat. It's more of the fear of combat that really like builds up tension in the game, and I think it's exciting, you know?
Yeah.
Because so when you actually do combat, if you beat them, you get to go into their territory, and if there's any resources there, you take all those resources for yourself. So the thing about resources is that it never goes to a player. It's always on the board, and you have to use it on the board if you're trying to use resources. So combat is where you can steal resources from other players, and it's that like tight, tense moment where you're like right next to a player, but you have like 5 resources that someone can steal.
And you have to just be ready like at all times for combat. And it's cool because like the map is pretty big, but in the beginning of the game and for most of the game, you can only move 1 tile, 1 hex per turn. So that's why it's a bit slow. You know, the base game comes with, I think, 5 different factions. There's also a really lovely expansion that comes with 2 other factions. And those 2 factions are pretty slow in moving, but they start off with, like, their own little things. So I like those factions because they're just in their own little world.
Man, I haven't played this game in quite a while.
Yeah, because this is
want to play it again.
A game that I would play, I think, probably better with more players.
I definitely think so, too, yeah.
We played the campaign. They have an awesome campaign for this as well, which we played with our entire household last year during the pandemic.
Yeah, Rise of Fenris is the expansion.
And we all fell in love with Scythe over that campaign.
Because that campaign is, I think, 8 games long. And we were quarantined, so it was like the best time because all of us were quarantined, all of us were at home, and we would just play that over, I think, a month or 2.
Yeah.
Maybe more, but it was
something like that.
What a cool experience to like.
Yeah, to experience that with everyone. Yeah. It's super fun.
Yeah. I like it.
I want to play it more.
Nice.
Yeah. Number 1 game of all time.
Nice.
All right, so that concludes our top 10 games of all time.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around. This is definitely one of our longer videos.
We're talkers.
Yeah, we really enjoy these games, and it's just so easy to talk about, you know, so yeah, thank you so much for sticking around.
Yeah, let us know if there are any overlaps in either of our top 10s and your top 10s, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.